announce on Discord.
Cool.
And yeah, hello and welcome, everyone. This is Xavier's first chess lesson on stream, which is really exciting
Okay.
because Xavier is an NFL player, actually. He's, what team do you play on, Xavier?
For the Minnesota Vikings, I'm currently a running back. So
Running back. Okay, so you're fast.
I like to think so. And then I got a little bit to me. You know,
Well,
I'm not good at blitz though. I'm not that good at blitz. I'm like rapid. I should say rapid. I'm decent at blitz to my level.
do you know
I should
what,
say.
so speed chess, right? There's also bullet. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know what time control bullet is?
yeah. Like 1 minute.
Yeah, exactly. That's the fastest.
Yeah, no, that's
Uh,
not. Yeah, it's fun. It's like really fun, but it's like I play such bad chess. Such bad chess.
that's funny. Well, we're gonna teach you. We're gonna show you the ways. I wanted to ask you how long you've been playing chess. When did you start, and um, how did you get into it?
Yeah. So technically I started in like second grade. I remember very little. Only thing I remember was like they taught us, I think it was the London looking back on it, but they taught us that. And like other than that, I don't remember anything. And then I got away from it for a long time and I picked it back up when I was in my draft prep time because like as I don't know if people here know, but once you finish college and then it's just your football is your job, like there's a lot of like you're training you're training like 4 to 5 hours in the morning. You got the rest of the day, open. So I just picked up chess and wanted to learn a lot more about myself when it comes to how do I react under pressure? What are some tendencies? How can I break tendencies? How can I think there's a lot to learn from chess. So I picked that up in 2020 at the end of 2022, early 2023, and then just kind of fell in love with it again. And I liked it as a kid. I really did. And just recently picked it back up and yeah, just trying to learn and grow and I have fun. It's an awesome game.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
just like the last 2 or 3 years, you've really gotten back into it.
Yep.
You learned as a kid, though, and what school did you go to?
I went to, I don't even remember which school it was that I did it. I'm assuming it was my elementary school in Kentucky, I think.
Uh,
I think it was Duncan Elementary.
and
And
where'd you go to college?
I went to college at University of Connecticut and the University of Maine.
Okay, so Northeast. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never
Yes.
been to either of those states, um,
Yeah.
or Minnesota actually. But I'll have to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chess clubs in Minnesota. Actually, there's a chess scene there. There's a chess community, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
I connected with this he wrote a chess book. I think it was called The Game of Life or something along those lines. Like, I met him like literally a couple weeks ago, and he told me about the app Meetup and how you can like join. It's people if they're into biking, if they're into hiking, and just meet up with groups. And I found some cool chess things. I haven't got involved yet, but it was some cool ones in Minnesota that I saw.
yeah, Meetup's a good one, for sure. But yeah, you're gonna before maybe you start playing in the chess club in person, you wanna maybe start playing a little online and get used to that. And our first lesson here is going to be on chess.com. We're going to use a classroom. And like I already mentioned this to you earlier, but I like to watch other players play and then sort of give them feedback in that regard. But on this first lesson, maybe we could kind of start with the basics, and just go top to bottom. I like to describe a chess game in three parts. You have the opening, the middle game, and the end game. So usually I start with the opening lesson. Um, so I'm gonna invite you to a classroom. Um,
I'm ready whenever.
let's see. Your is your username also? Should I say it, or you don't care if people know?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. Is
Okay,
Z Scott 7?
Z Scott 7.
Yeah, that's a cool overlay, by the way. I'm looking at. I have the stream on my phone, so I can see
It's
chat. Hi,
just
chat.
it's straight up just your
Hi, Sir
camera,
Customer.
my camera, and the chessboard between
Yeah,
us.
it's cool though. I like it. It's like I've never seen that. I said it before.
All right, so you've
Never
joined,
seen.
which is
Good.
great.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
okay,
Let's go.
so what's your favorite opening?
Um,
Do you
you
know?
gotta say the London. I
The
mean,
London
it's.
system?
I think
Okay.
it's a variation of the London. Um, I'll go. I go. Was it D4, and then I go knight to C3, and then bishop to was it F4? Yeah.
Yeah, and you can
So
also
that's.
you can make the moves on yeah, on
Oh,
your
okay.
board. Yeah, I gave you the control.
Oh, cool. So this is typically my setup. I like go here because I mean it sets up a trap like if they go night out that sets up a trap but like it's also a solid beginning position for me but I'm thinking about changing recently to get a more open position because I've heard this is a pretty closed
Yeah,
system
so
in general.
I think it's funny you mentioned learning in second grade and remembering it was maybe the London system that they taught you, so you're kind of sticking with this. But
Mhm,
uh, I personally am an E4 player, so I like to start with E4. And
mhm,
these are the two main openings in all of chess, either the E pawn or the D pawn. And it
mhm,
really comes back to the main opening principle that we want to follow is controlling the center. So essentially, there's a handful of opening principles that we want to follow that's going to guide us through the opening. And the main objective of the opening is to get fully developed, right? And once you're fully developed, that's really when the second phase of the game starts. That's the middle game. So if you can get through the opening into the middle game without, having a significant disadvantage, that to me is kind of a successful opening. So whether or not
yeah,
you memorize lines or theory or if your opening has a name or not, all of that is really kind of secondary to following the opening principles. Those are going to guide us into the middle game safely without a disadvantage. So, number
yeah,
one, you want to control the center. There's a lot of reasons why. I like to say that the center of the chessboard is kind of like the top of a hill. So that's going to be these four main squares. So if you play against
yeah,
someone and their opening move is like an H pawn or an A pawn, that's already a bad sign for them. A good sign for you, assuming your opponent doesn't know what they're doing. Sometimes people they'll like to start off like they're weak, but then they're actually really strong. So
yeah,
uh, you might consider that sandbagging or
yeah,
intentionally playing down or whatever. But
mhm,
yeah, for the most part, though, I think like if you're playing people less than 1,000 or whatever, and they start with H3 A3, it's like all right, this is a winnable game, right? This guy doesn't know what they're doing necessarily.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's a lot easier to control the rest of the board from the center. So if you're like on the top of the hill, it's a lot easier to roll down in any direction. Whereas if you're on the edge of the board on the outside, it's very hard to climb your way to the top. And the best
yeah,
example of this is actually the knight. So on the starting position, the knight has two options, right?
mhm.
Which square would you rather develop this knight?
F3 for sure.
Yeah, you want to go to f3. And the reason why is because it's closer to the center. And we can actually
Hmm.
count the number of squares the knight controls. So from here,
Hmm.
this knight controls 8 squares. That is the maximum number of squares a knight can control. From this starting position on the edge of the board, the knight only controls 3 squares. And if I move the knight here on the edge of the board as well, that's only 4 squares. So you could say that the knight on f3 is twice as effective as the knight on h3, just based off of the number of squares it controls. But I would argue that it's actually even worse than that. A knight on f3 not only controls twice as many squares, but if you look at the squares themselves, you have these two in particular are in
Hmm.
the center 4 squares, right? So not every chess square is created equal, right? Where the square is, especially in relation to where the other pieces are, determines the quality or the significance, the importance of that square. So the center squares are more important, right? So definitely like controlling the center and controlling more squares, having more options is better than being limited. So that's why the center is so important. That's like the number one principle we want to follow. That's also like the basis of a lot of opening theory. So when we play e4, there's a couple of main responses, but the two most popular either going to be e5 or c5, and this is called the Sicilian. The thing that these two squares for the pawns that they have in common is they both control d4. So d4 is important because any other move that black makes, let's say they go here, we're going to play d4.
Hmm.
Or if they play e6, this is called the French defense, we still play d4. So if black allows us to play d4 and e4, we're going to do it basically. So the pawn duo in the center is like really a big idea in a lot of chess theory. So like I was saying, e4 and d4 are the two most common openings in chess. Usually white will do one of those two, and whatever black does in response is going to prevent you from doing that. Um,
Hmm.
because, you know, on your first move as white, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, should I start with d4? Should I play e4? Am I going to be an e4 player or a d4 player, whatever? Well, if your opponent allows you, you can actually just, say, why not both? You can have both e4
Hmm.
and d4, and this is really strong control over the center squares. You're putting the two pawns in the middle like this. And besides just controlling squares, having this option here is really helpful. You can either push either pawn or you can keep it here. And if black plays any opening that allows you to do this, typically their second move is going to try to undermine your center, trying to take back some of these squares. So besides e5 and c5 against e4, the next most popular moves, it's either e6, which I said is the French defense, or c6, which is the Caro-Kann. Now, you don't have to memorize any of this, but the point behind e6 and c6 is that as soon as we play d4, both of these pawn pushes support d5. So now we're attacking this e pawn.
Yeah, yeah.
Most
Carl Khan's my black.
Okay, so
I love
you
it with the
play the
black.
Caro against e4. So you
Yeah.
might know some moves already in this position. I think a lot of people will develop the knight to defend the pawn. A lot of people will push the pawn, and then you can try to undermine the pawn center by playing something like c5. Or sometimes people like to bring the bishop out and then push the pawn. Um, if you push the pawn early, and you see this a lot of times, like with the French defense, this bishop is a very hard piece to develop because it's stuck behind the pawns. So a lot of times
Mhm.
here in the Caro, people will bring the bishop out first and then later push this pawn so that this bishop is outside of this pawn chain.
Yeah.
That's why people will often prefer the Caro con, where you play c6, over the French defense, where you play e6, because with the pawn on e6, the bishop can't come out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, if we look at the Caro still, you're allowing white to build up the center on the second move, but then black will immediately contest with d5. So there's one
Mm-hmm.
opening I really like to point out just to illustrate kind of the purpose behind either c6 or e6 in the Caro or the French. If we play d5 immediately without supporting it with the pawns, uh, have you seen this or heard of this before?
This is the Queen Gambit.
Queen's Gambit's with
Is
the
this?
queen's pawn. When you play d4,
Oh, for white. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, usually
Hmm.
it's
Oh,
well, no, this is Benoni. It's gonna be d4, d5, and then white plays c4. This is the Queen's Gambit.
uh,
Because
okay.
you're putting
No,
a
I'm not sure what
pawn.
that's called.
Have you seen Queen's Gambit, by the way?
Love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was better coming back because I was already in the game, and then like watching it after, kind of having some understanding of it was just awesome. It was a great story too, but I loved it.
Yeah, it brought a lot of attention to chess, which is great.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so anyways, this is the infamous Queen's Gambit. Similarly, the King's
Hmm.
Gambit is e4, e5, and then f4. So anytime you kind of throw away a pawn, especially like in the opening, um, you're trying to get a positional advantage, and that's called a gambit. The idea is like, let's
Okay.
say black accepts that free pawn. Well, it's not really free because now white gets this strong pawn center. Now, this is a very complicated line because we're going to get checked and we really don't want to push this pawn. This would be really bad because, well, our pawn is pinned, so we lose a rook and probably a lot more. But um, the main theory after people take this pawn, white will first develop the knight towards the center, and that makes sure that the queen cannot come out and check us. That's why the King's Gambit is very risky, is that we push out this F pawn really early, and that opens up this line towards our king, right? So
Yeah.
Queen's Gambit's a bit more popular because it's a little
Mhm.
bit safer for your king side at least. And
Yeah.
after this
That's,
capture, White's going to take the center with the two pawns, and their bishop's already opened up to try to recapture this material.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, the opening I was showing you with e4 and d5 immediately, this is called the Scandinavian defense. So
Mhm.
essentially, white should take this pawn because black's queen is defending it, and if they recapture, this violates the next opening principle I'm about to tell you. Um, you don't want to bring the queen out too early, and I think they mentioned this in Queen's Gambit when
Mhm.
the janitor was teaching her. But
Yeah.
essentially, your queen is like the most powerful piece, right? It's a very strong attacker. You don't want to lose your queen, right? So that makes the queen very easy to attack. And white has a really good move here to develop a piece and attack the queen at the same time. Can you guess
Mhm.
what that move is?
This knight C3.
Exactly. Knight c3 is developing a piece towards the center and attacking the queen at the same time. This is like the best, you know, bang for your buck. Uh, Also, I see someone in chat saying Xavier, you should play Matt Henningsen. Yeah,
Yeah. Listen.
we've definitely told them about each other. That's a collab I'm hoping to happen one day. Maybe Matt will tune in at some point. Um,
Yeah, we've connected. Yeah, we'll see. It's-
but yeah, Matt's a beast, both on and off the board. I already told Xavier, Matt's beaten me in a game, so I think Matt was too good to join Blitz Champs because he would just have beaten everyone. Uh, but I think Matt would be a great coach. So maybe we'll make that happen. Matt's
Yeah.
been streaming a ton, but we'll see if he was interested in lessons at some time. But anyways, yeah, Queen is already hit. Now there's definitely a big blunder Black could make, and I've pointed this out to a lot of my students. And there's a really strong player and streamer, Jonathan John Bartholomew. I don't know why I called him Jonathan. John Bartholomew is a huge advocate for the Scandinavian. And one time I
Mhm.
was showing this position, and then he tuned in, and it was really funny because this is a really big blunder. So you shouldn't expect
Mhm.
people to play this, but what's another development move with the tempo attacking the queen that we can play here? It's actually uh, winning the game.
Yeah, bishop b5 with the
Yeah,
pin.
yeah, and that's pinning the queen exactly. So you already know some basic tactics, right? The pen means the queen cannot leave this diagonal because then the king would be hanging.
Mhm.
So it's really important you don't line up your pieces like that for tactics. But the most common responses, the queen will either go here or the queen will go all the way back home, which is kind of a sad move to make because now white gets to go again and you have two pieces out, they have nothing out, right? So you can see why bringing the queen out so early is kind of a disadvantage because if your queen
Mhm.
gets attacked, you're gonna have to spend time moving that queen, um, and that's time that you would rather be developing other pieces.
Yeah.
All right, that's like another opening principle I want to talk about is being efficient with your moves. You
Mhm.
want to develop all of your pieces before you move the same piece multiple times. So, like in this example I showed bringing up the second knight, right? We have two knights that have moved once. That's much better than moving the same knight twice.
Right.
So, we want to focus on bringing out all of our pieces before we start moving the same pieces multiple times. That's just part of being efficient. What's up, Houseline? What's up? I see my friend is tuned in from Instagram. Uh, I don't know if I should say his real name or not, but good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, shout out to Houseline. Instagram. Yeah, is exactly right. Normally I don't post my streams to Instagram, but today's a very special occasion. We have a very special guest tuning in named Zavier, who is
Hi.
also on Instagram. So definitely recommend you guys give him a follow. Trying to get him to 5,000,
Right.
and
They follow me. If the
maybe he'll
goal.
get back into streaming, and then we can start
Yeah.
following his own personal Twitch streams. Um, okay. Anyways, yeah. How do you feel? Do you feel like you've learned a lot of these opening principles already, or is any of this been new to you so far?
Names or I mean the Scandinavian the name is new. I've seen it as well, but I feel like when it comes to like the night being and being able to see more in the middle and um kind of having control over the center, those kind of things, and then tactics that can go along with it. I obviously don't know everything, but I feel pretty comfortable with the just the openings that I've played, whether that be Carl Khan with Black or even recently starting the Indian with Black, and then even going to the London or the Italian or like to go tos with White. So I feel pretty comfortable with them. Like I've played this. Oh wow, he's got 5 gifted subs.
Yo,
Shout out
thanks,
Butt
Andrew.
City.
Yeah, appreciate that.
It's a great name.
You gifted the airplane facts with Max and G and Banks, and we're getting a raid from 64
Shout
squares.
out Butt City.
Xavier's spelled with a Z. I think I
Yeah,
have his
appreciate
Instagram
it. Though.
pinned.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely
yeah. I
appreciate.
feel. I mean, I'm not. I don't know everything. I'm not gonna act like I do, but I've watched like a lot of YouTube, like um lessons and like when like Professor Hikaru when he does like his little videos or even random chess accounts, and I think one guy's name is like Alex something.
Banzea, maybe.
Yeah, is he
Is
like foreign?
Yeah, he's Romanian.
I love him. Um, so yeah, that's where I've gotten most of my knowledge from. But I always open to learn new things, and maybe there's something that because the foundation is obviously the most important part. So it's good to
Yeah, I actually
make sure
I
the foundation is set.
I love that you're watching YouTube because I actually recommend. I think YouTube is the best resource for especially beginner players trying to learn chess openings in particular. But really just anything. I love to shout out Danya, Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. He's one of the best
Yeah,
um, educators in the chess world. I love his streams, but he has a series where he essentially starts a brand new chess.com account and just goes through all the different rating levels. And so if you follow that
uh,
series, eventually he'll get to where your rating is. And like that advice, he goes over a lot of the common blunders and mistakes that people in this rating will make, and he shows how to take advantage of that. It's definitely a lot
yeah,
of opening education and tactics, and it's one of my
yeah.
favorite stuff out there. What's funny is that the chess bras are doing something similar right now with their habits. He's pointing out the good habits to make, but every time I tune
Yeah,
into a Mon stream, it seems that he's like blundering something like pretty obvious. He's like trying to
great
follow his
habit.
habits. Yeah, so
It's a great
I think
habit.
it's kind of funny. Um,
Yeah.
but like the point is good is you want to
Mhm.
develop towards the center. You want to make safe space for your king, which he calls a snorkel, which I think is funny. And then he has this thing called RPMs, which are random pawn moves. Where it's like if you don't know what to do, it's like just make a random pawn, which is I think it's kind
Yeah.
of funny. It's more entertaining for me especially. But there's one other YouTube channel I wanted to shout out that they don't normally get a lot of love because it's an older channel
Mhm.
and he's not as big like on Twitch and he doesn't have a face cam. But his name is Jerry. His channel is called the Chess Network, and he has a basic to master series or beginner to master series. And it's like one of my favorite playlists. I like to recommend the beginners. So I have a command in the chat, and there's a link for the playlist. So if any beginner player or really anyone, because it's beginner to master, definitely check it out. He does a ton of videos reviewing like top master level games, and those are also super helpful to watch because he really kind of digests the thought process behind particular moves that these top players are making, and that is extremely useful to apply to your own games. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
What was the channel called with the habits? What was the name of that channel?
Chess Bra. Have you heard of them?
Chess Bra?
Yeah,
Oh, BR.
I'll give out a shout out to Chess Bra in the chat.
Yeah, I got him right here. Okay.
Yeah, they're really popular. It's two Canadian grandmasters mainly, Amon Hambleton and Eric Hansen. They do a lot
Okay,
of
yeah, I've heard of Eric.
commentary. Yeah. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, I really wanted to quickly come back to sort of the openings, not the openings themselves, but like getting out of the opening and into the middle game, and particularly what it means to be fully developed. Because this is a term that I used earlier. Uh, if I could just make random moves for black,
mhm.
something that's not really pressing, and white just had as many moves as they wanted to develop and get to a fully developed position. This is kind of the textbook opening for white that I would try to go for. I would definitely castle.
I actually played people who've
They just
who've
push all
done
the
this.
pawns. Yeah.
They'll push they'll push every pawn one at a time. And Honestly, it kind of works against me. Like I'm like, how do I make them pay? Like I know this is terrible. I usually win the game long term,
Yeah.
and I like early. I don't know if maybe it's because like I am a little more patient. I don't try to like jump to it, but like I'm usually like, okay, this I know this isn't good, but like where do I make them pay early
Yeah.
on? And they're just pushing every pawn one square forward. I'm like,
Yeah, I kind of mentioned
this
like
is just
if you
this is
see your opponent make like a pawn or H pawn move on move one, you kind of feel like how do I take advantage of this, right? How do I punish this sort of bad behavior? Like
right.
it's frustrating sometimes when you know your opponent's playing bad, but you just don't see a clear solution or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I mean, back to
Hmm.
that same example, your opponent could start with the move A3, and it's not like there's a forced win for black at that point, right? Even though you could think like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not a good move, there isn't
Hmm.
always necessarily a punish right away. But if you stick to
Yeah.
your principles or your good habits,
Yeah.
eventually there will be a tactic that will manifest itself in the position, and
Yeah.
that's a way for you to then win material and build on that advantage. It's eventually going to lead to a significant enough advantage where you will have checkmate or be able to win the game in some other way. So
Yeah.
like
Kind
this,
of like slowly choking them out rather than
yeah,
like trying to find that quick punch, that quick
exactly.
knockout. Like sometimes it's there, but like, yeah, I feel like that's something like I can be a little patient. Like, yeah, it can bother me. Like, oh my gosh, how am I letting this happen? But then it's like, okay, I'm gonna just stick to the game plan, and like I usually win those games. I see Butt City said they lost to those before too, so I think that's it's probably around the 1200 range because I'm like kind of in that same area as Butt City. And I guess some people at that range just like, oh, let me just try something random and see if it works. And it might just be us,
Oh, for
um,
sure.
or at that range, see that kind of behavior, I guess. Probably
Yeah,
disappears very soon after.
yeah. There's people that play. Have you heard of the Bong Cloud opening?
Oh, yeah, he Carl. I watched his whole series on it. It's so awesome. I love it. That
Yeah, yeah.
and the Queen's or no, what does he call it? The Botez Gambit.
Okay, yeah.
That was
Botez
it. Yeah,
Gambit.
I've
Yeah,
heard. Yeah, the Bunk Cloud is like, yeah, yeah, it's a crazy gambit. That might be one of the hardest ones, but it's fun to watch. Like, but I would never do it. There's no way.
yeah. So people will notoriously start really bad and then try afterwards, and then try to climb their way back into the game and then win. So like Hikaru has that series. I think with the Botez Gambit, like sacrificing his queen immediately, he's still like stronger than I am, which is like crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah.
I wouldn't worry too
He,
much
yeah,
about like finding the knockout early or whatever, but just like focusing on your development and like taking free material if it's offered to you is really, someone was mentioning bishop takes e6 is a really good move. I didn't play that. I'm just focusing on showing the uh the fully developed position. So as soon as all your minor pieces are out, you have the king castled,
mhm,
the queen is developed, and there's nothing in
mhm,
between the rooks, so the rooks can see each other. That is the
mhm,
moment that I like to say is you've completed your development. You are fully developed now, and now you can focus on the middle game and strategy and tactics and all. I mean, you still
mhm,
have strategy and tactics in the opening, but this is where you can then start repositioning your pieces, right? We were mentioning in the opening, one of the principles is not moving the same piece multiple times. In this particular example,
mhm,
I've moved every single piece only once, right? And this is essentially
mhm,
as efficiently you can get to the middle game as possible. Um, One last thing, Queen was the last piece to develop, and now we can bring the rooks into the center. That's really kind of the last thing that I would do, is just focusing on
mhm,
getting the rooks out. So once you get the rooks in the middle, now is really when you can start trying to cook up some tactics by repositioning your pieces to better
mhm.
squares and starting to attack things, right? So like let's say if black castles now, boom. Okay, Smoothly's rated us now. Shout out to Smoothly. He's another chess streamer. Hey,
Yeah.
Bingo's in the chat. Bingo's also a chess
So
streamer.
so everybody's starting to pull up before the game starts. Okay. So I'm gonna get
Well,
that much more pressure added. Thanks, guys.
everyone,
That'll be fun.
please welcome Zavier. He's the new star in the chess community. He is actually an NFL player who's taken a chess lesson here today. And we're hoping that Xavier will hopefully stick with us here in the chess community and maybe even start streaming himself. So no pressure, but we're all glad to have him, and hopefully he can learn some things. And I've given lessons to Bingo before. Maybe Bingo and Xavier could play.
We'll see.
Um, yeah,
Is
and in return,
Bingo in the
Xavier's
chat?
gonna give me some football lessons, right?
We're gonna have to meet up at oh, I don't want to say, but yeah, we're gonna have to meet up in that. There's some stuff going. Yeah. That'd be
Yeah,
good.
I'm gonna have to start translating my chess knowledge to the football field. But you kind of
Yeah.
you want to control
Translate
the
more
center.
than you would think, honestly.
You need
Control the
all the
center.
pieces to coordinate together, right? Every piece plays its role.
There's a lot of consistency, honestly.
I think I could be maybe like the water boy. I could help fill up the water bottles.
Yeah, yeah, they actually are athletic training students. Like, well, students are, they graduated from like actual school, and they're like the ones that are responsible for that, I guess. But they don't have like a just water person position. Just a fun fact.
Okay,
People might
cool.
not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a fun gym.
I used to play lacrosse in college. Obviously not football. I wasn't very talented or good, but I was pretty good at filling out water bottles. So I could put that on
It's a
my
skill.
resume.
There's a skill.
Um,
There's a skill gap.
all right, thank you Zietza, Blade, and Javio for the follows. Um, yeah, Smoothly is Zach. He's actually one of my coworkers at chess.com. He runs the college chess socials. So maybe after this lesson,
Okay,
I can talk. We have this chess competition for university starting tomorrow. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Xavier, did you want to play a game on stream and then go over it? I know we're getting close to like an hour here, but how are you
Let's
feeling?
do it.
You ready? Okay.
I'm, I'm as ready
Sweet.
as I'll ever be.
Okay, so yeah, just what time control do you normally play?
Recently been playing a lot of just 3 minute blitz, but I like when I'm really like that's usually when I'm like not really super like trying to try, but like if I'm trying to try, I'm playing 10 minute for sure.
Okay, you want to do
I
a
haven't
10
played
minute?
15, but yeah, we can do that.
All
So
right.
how do we set it up?
So you just oh, did you want to play me or did you want to play a random game?
Ooh,
I think you play
ooh.
a random game. Uh,
I was thinking that. Yeah.
it's up to you though. I'm happy to play you.
I like Bud City's recommendation. Don't check the chat, but I like that. I like that a lot. Um, if we play, but I'm cool with playing online and we kind of go off that because that's really where, I'm sure you
Yeah.
playing you. I've heard a lot.
All right, so yeah, go play a 10-minute game. We'll follow you, and I'm gonna mute myself in our call, and you should not be reading the chat while you play either. I want to see you just focusing on your game and talk us through the
Got
thought
you.
process, right? Tell us what's going through your mind,
Yeah.
and then we can go
Okay.
over everything afterwards.
Okay. So how do I just go to play or do we stay in the classroom
Yeah,
or
yeah, you can leave the classroom, you can go to play, and then after the game, we'll go back. I can re-invite you to the classroom.
okay. All right. I'm ready whenever.
All right, start your
Chat.
game, dude. Good
I
luck.
can see you.
Good
Don't
luck.
make too
Bro's
much
gonna
fun of me.
lock
You guys
in.
can make jokes.
No, no
Yeah,
one's
it's
gonna
gonna
make.
lock in.
We're
All right.
all cheering for. So everyone, this is his first streamed chess game. We're about to bear witness to. No
Yeah.
pressure.
You guys are witnessing history. NFL to
Yeah,
GM.
first of many.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Good
Cool.
luck,
You
dude.
ready?
Yep.
Thanks, man.
All
Okay,
right.
so we're starting with weight. I'm talking through my process, I guess. I'm a big London advocate, so boom, we're gonna start with London. I don't want to waste too much time. I know we just learned the before start, but I'm going with
No, I
this
like that he's
London
sticking to what
variation.
he's used to.
Sets up some traps, and I don't even know if this is valid to still do the trap, so
Isn't
I'm not
this
gonna do it.
isn't this the Joe Bava?
And just trying to develop, open up my pieces, how inside. Okay, just getting some development. That's he's going straight for it. Pawn is hanging it. Usually the bishop's defending it, so I'm just gonna take.
Yep,
I'm just gonna
taking.
snap take.
That's
I don't
good.
think that's the best play for him at least. I think that's
No, so far
a good
so
take.
good. He's doing great.
I want a castle because my king's still in the
That is true,
open,
Santos. We got
so we
Matt
want to get
Henningsen
that
out there.
squared away. He can
Bingo,
where
appreciating
he can
Gerbs.
go. I mean,
Thank
he could
you.
attack the pawn with.
Hope you're
Okay, he's
doing
not
well,
attacking me.
Bingo.
He's gonna castle. Going to castle king side or queen side,
Yeah,
probably
love
king
love
side.
his development so far. These players
Not really too
definitely
sure
know what
why,
they're
but I
doing.
typically, I mean, all his pieces seem to coordinate for that way, so I'm just gonna
Castling, I
go
love
king
it.
side.
Hey, Queen's trying to get this pawn
Okay,
back.
he can double attack this knight, so I wanna maybe get
Computer's
ready
calling
to
for knight b5.
defend this an extra time. I can go here.
Also, he's up a
Yeah, no, I
pawn,
cannot
right?
go
That
there.
was a
Okay.
gambit, so it's okay if he
Thinking I
loses that
just
pawn.
get ready to go a3, b4, because he's gonna move this knight.
Well, the
Where can the
problem
knight
with doing
go?
this, if the queen takes,
I'm gonna try to
then we
double
don't want to
attack
hang our
this.
knight.
I'm just gonna.
So this b pawn
I want
is
to walk into
really
a pin.
important.
That's a bad play.
Unfortunately,
He can sack the
which team are you
knight,
a fan
but
of,
that really doesn't
Santos?
do anything. Gonna go
Okay,
for it.
so yeah, they're gonna take that pawn.
Oh,
He better not
I
play b4.
I didn't open my eyes. Yes. Okay. Cool. All right. Can kick his queen. This is hanging though. If I do that, so I don't want to do that.
Okay, he totally sees it, which is great.
I think I'm just gonna get that out now.
Yeah, queen up. Now he's completed his development.
No, we're
He's
gonna get the
connected his
rooks
rooks.
connected. Okay, we'll get them.
His queen also defends the knight. Now, when he
Or towards the
pushes his
center. Do we
pawn, though,
see any
he's got to watch out.
weaknesses? I
This
mean,
bishop is really strong.
pretty
So
solid.
we could see something crazy happen. But
Now I can go there though. I'll go
you were.
b4.
What
I
happened,
want to get the
Santos?
rooks out first. What was there? Take, take. Probably not gonna do that.
Also, I saw. So
If all of this.
Zach said he ate how many chicken
Trying to
nuggets?
think of what he could do right now. I really don't know. I feel like I'm a lot better
37.
at
Okay, that's good. Xavier says
not
he feels
talking.
like he's a lot better. The computer
That's what I was
actually.
thinking he could do, but that doesn't really
Okay, likes 95. The threat is that they're gonna take and
get too
double his
much done
pawns right in front of his king. So we want to save this knight.
because it's not pinned anymore. He just wants to take next move. So
And Xavier sees that. He
I don't
understands
want
the
to allow it.
stakes.
So where do I want to go with this knight? Here
37
walks
is
into
crazy.
none of that.
On stream, like a mukbang,
Takes. Bishop there, but he goes there and it attacks the bishop.
smoothly is pushing the
Don't want
bounds
to
of
go
chess
there. Go
content.
there. You can lose a pawn.
Although he probably wasn't in the chess
Can
category, I
attack his
assume.
queen first, but then I don't know if that's not well defended. Then he can
He's on
just
the
take the
floor.
knight again.
Oh my goodness. He was floored.
Just gonna go out.
Ooh.
I know that's not where we want our knights. Sorry, Joe. We don't like
Yeah,
our knights on the
we should have gone in the center.
edge, but I don't think the center was the play.
It was the play. Now we've conceded control over e5, and the computer really liked attacking the.
Saw that next is defended by two things, but
Okay, and this is totally fine. We can go ahead and take that. And next, it wants us to attack this bishop so that our knight can come back.
we kick the queen. He just takes, and our bishop's in a good spot. No, he could take, and then I take queen. He takes there.
He's calculating.
Uh,
He's
I think it's
offering
an
a
even
trade.
trade. No, he can take. And I can take with the bishop, though.
Yeah, with
Oh,
37
this
nuggets, he
pawn's
could
gonna
set
be
up a chessboard with nugget
hanging.
pieces and have a few left over. All right,
Yeah.
so I'm
Okay. So
taking
this
the
pawn's not
bishop.
hanging, but I could
Bishop
take with
takes.
the bishop. Yeah, I take with the bishop first. Attack
Takes the
his
queen.
queen.
Nice. Yeah, and he
He
also
has to
he
leave.
saw
Then I
this
have to defend
pawn.
this pawn, or I can push it.
Yeah, he's thinking about we don't want to push that
The
pawn.
queen's in a very
So he's
vulnerable spot too. Is it?
the problem is our
No,
knight
not trying,
can
but
also be
it's in a very
hanging.
vulnerable spot. Really good scope with the bishops. Knight's not the best spot. Probably want to try to. I mean, he's on. It's not terrible, but I mean, it's kind of bad.
Two
Um,
extra pieces for
so I'm
nuggets.
thinking I get my. Okay, so he's double
I
attacking
think
this
I
now.
think
Maybe I just
c3.
was gonna go there
Oh,
because I
sorry.
can't
The
defend it.
bishop's hanging. Whoops.
Now it's defended by
He
that.
played the move I said.
I'm blind, apparently.
F3
Okay,
though is
it's
a
all. It's
fork.
okay. We're gonna clutch up.
F3 is a
That's what we're
fork.
made for.
F3.
I'm so much better when I'm not. I swear that this is. I'm not this bad. I'm not the best, but I'm not this bad. So he has a very good attack coming. So maybe I can just go
Hold on, sir.
here.
Let's say F3 though. F3 and we're right in it. F3.
He's just like, shut up. I think F3 is the best play.
All right, he sees it.
I'm
Boom.
going for it.
Fork town. We're getting the piece back.
Takes. I
So
lose my knight though. No, I
takes. He
take with
needs
the
to see that
knight.
he can
Yeah.
take back with the knight.
Yeah. See. Yeah. Okay.
It's
Might
coming
have found
together. It's coming
something
together.
back. We might have found a little
He's back.
resource.
He's back in it, baby.
I don't know if that's what they call it.
Yeah, I
Joke
mean,
and
a
correct me after
tactic
the game if
is
I'm
a
wrong.
resource, right? I like that terminology for sure.
I think he's gonna take Desperado.
That's another good
Desperado style.
term in chess.
Here you go. He goes there. I'm taking it with the knight. Um, he can bring a rook out to just kind of. Oh, Desperado. Okay. Now, do I want to take with the rook or the knight? I should have thought about that.
Oh, for sure with the knight.
If I
Also,
take with
just
the rook, I can open up my rook. I think I get the
reminder
knight back in the game.
reminder
Let's get the
for
knight
the
back in the game.
audience. He cannot hear me.
Keep the rooks connected.
I've muted our call.
He's probably gonna attack my queen. Where do I want to go?
Okay, he did mention taking back with the rook opens
I
the
don't want
rook.
to go there. He's
Because the
attacking the
f pawn
queen.
is
I gotta keep my
gone, his
bishop
rook is
defended.
already
So I either
opened
want to go
up,
here,
really.
here.
So yeah, he
Probably
sees
want to
that
stay
he
on this
needs to
rank. I
keep
think I'm gonna go here and set up
yeah,
some strong,
he's attacking this
strong
pawn. He can
sight
leave
on
any
this diet or
material. I
this
don't know if I would do that because
F
the knight would
file.
take.
That's a solid spot for the knight. I
Yeah, I
would
see
want to
it.
go there,
So now,
but
yeah, we can bring like the rook, maybe opposite the queen.
I have good division on there, so I don't need to do
Like
that.
I
Maybe
like rook
we,
a
I think we
e1.
trade rooks.
Yeah, contesting the d file makes a lot of
Just like the
sense.
knight.
Either
Yeah,
rook
'cause he
to
can't
either
take.
e or d file is just a good move
He can bring his rook here.
in
No,
general.
yeah, I think we trade rooks. I'm doing that. So I take hold of the open file, and if he wants to trade again, I don't know. I think I take because his knight would have to go backwards, but I don't know. These are still defended. I'm gotta watch out though. The bishop's only defended by my queen. But now I have really good control of the open file. He's probably gonna take or try to trade. No? Attacking the rook.
That's a good
I'd be
spot.
mindful of that. I gotta either
He
defend
sees
the
that.
rook or it keeps
He's seeing a lot. He did miss his
I
bishop
keep
hanging, but so did
pressure on the
I.
file.
So, you know, it all happens.
My king's in a vulnerable spot
He
if
might
I do
move the
that. So I gotta make
queen.
sure I either defend the rook or move the rook. I'm gonna either here or here. I want to open up this attack again. Keep this. Definitely can't move that. Definitely can't move that. So I gotta move the knight, the queen, or the rook. Right here, I'm kind of stuck. I think I want to open up this attack again, but then that and keep my king kind of safe. And then this is still not the best spot for my knight, but if he moves that knight, this is a really good spot. Wait,
So
takes,
he's
takes.
saved his rook.
If he moves a knight, can I get my knight out there to block that five? Takes. Yeah, I can. Okay. Trying to think, what would he do? He's probably gonna take the open file. Then I have to go. Just give my king a. Hmm. Takes. Um. Hmm. And his rook's gonna have to stay on that file. If he, I think I just take. Yeah.
Yo, what up,
Give
Scott?
my king a little breathing room. Which one would I rather have him breathe out
Scotty
of? I
D
definitely
in
want
the
to do this to
chat
keep.
right now.
Oh no. Yeah. Keep some white square control.
Shout out to Scott.
Attacking the
We're giving a
rook, and
lesson
he's
to
also attacking this
Xavier right
pawn. If
now.
I move this pawn, he's taking this pawn. Can I defend this pawn? I don't want to do that with the. Oh, this pawn's it's defended by my queen. His rook's pinned down. Like his rook's in a very bad spot. Because if he moves his rook, I have a really big threat of queen f7. So
All right.
that pawn's not really
He
attacked right
saved his
now.
rook. He traded knights.
His
He
bishop's
made
in
a
the open.
snorkel,
I think
also
I
known as a
wanna.
flight square.
Hmm.
So bishop h6 is a really common
I wanna
idea. We're
attack
going to
that
go over
bishop.
this structure with the fianchettoed bishop. We're going to talk about that after this
Hmm.
game.
Interesting. Interesting. Takes. My pawn will be in a solid spot if I,
What's up, Abdul
but
Roof?
it'll be an isolated pawn. We want that right here. Yes, it's defended by my queen. The queen's gonna be done. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. I think we're gonna try to trade bishops. We're using a lot of time right now. I gotta lock on it and twin. His rook's pinned down, but he could push that pawn forward. So I think we just try to escort, possibly. Not yet though. So this pawn's weak. This pawn's weak. Can we attack? Hmm. Get into an endgame. Down a pawn. Okay, now he's getting ready to move his rook. If I go there, he has to move it behind that. Then I can double attack it. Then he has to defend it. Um, let's start here. Ah, okay, let's defend that. Hmm. I can double attack it. He can defend it easily with his queen, but I think I have to stay on this file because this pawn's hanging. If not, he can trade queens right now. And then this pawn's it's a strong pawn. I can get my king into the game pretty quick. He has a 4-on-2 advantage over here, though. I guess is it 3-on-2? I don't know if these two are seeing each other. We're getting to an end game. It's getting spicy, guys. On camera.
Yeah, he traded off bishops, right? Yeah. The problem is he's
Okay,
down a
but his rook
pawn,
tied down there.
and he also
So
gave
his
himself an
king gets into the
isolated
game pretty
pawn.
fast.
So this is a losing
Defending
end
that.
game for sure.
I think I have to go behind. I can't go here because he'll kick
I'm
it.
having a good one.
He'll just kick me if I go there. I think. Okay, so he is not letting him through. So only way he's gonna start pushing these pawns over here or trying to get a attack. I don't think he pushes those. I think I seized this square. So he can't get through with the king, so that kind of creates some type of blockade. I think he might have to make a bad move sooner or later. Maybe not. Because he can get his rook over here. I just have to go behind my pawn. If he takes this file, I have to go here. This is getting spicy.
This
I honestly
is
don't know what to do.
this is unfortunately a losing
Hmm.
position. So trading one down is a big sort of idea that we want to go over.
I'm losing if I trade rook, so I think I'm gonna
Like
attack this pawn
here
next. What is he
here
doing with that?
I was thinking queen
He's
takes,
trying to get his rook over
but
here.
then it allows for a queen trade.
He trades. That's a bad play by him because I can get my king
But
in the
yeah, trading
game.
queens here is bad
Our king over
for
here.
sure.
Yeah, and then the pawn's gonna have to be a little throwaway, but my king's gonna
He's going after this
take.
guy.
You know, push these pawns up forward.
Yeah, pushing is good though.
So he's probably gonna back up with his rook, and then I think
Yeah, he's played the best move, his
Mm.
opponent.
Hold on.
So he should be able to take.
Takes.
He's also
Okay,
getting
I
low
have
on
to
time,
take,
which is
I think,
another
because he's
problem.
gonna
There's
take
no
next,
increment.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's correct in saying that.
have to take.
Pawn takes, and now black has a passed pawn,
Okay.
right? This is the
Now
advantage. Now
my
they can check.
oh no. Redo. Undo. How do I undo it? No. Chill. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My heart almost dropped. I thought I
There's.
pre-moved that. That would have been oh my gosh, my heart dropped.
I think you could just click on the board somewhere to undo a pre-move.
I tried. I yeah, thank you. I was freaking out, as you could see.
You're good. You're good.
I thought it was over.
All right.
Oh
It's getting
god.
close to being over though,
Oh my
as
gosh.
there's not a lot of time left. Okay, so rook
Okay.
e7, preventing the e4 check. The problem is, as soon as we start getting checked,
Gonna
this
check me.
rook, king, and pawn can just
Oh
enter
no.
our
I
half of the
think I'm gonna
board,
walk down. Gonna
right?
check me and then I
You
can't
see,
go this
black
far
has
because
more
rook gets in.
space because their king is on the fifth rank. Now our king is
If
on the
he
second rank, and
checks me
now
again though.
they're officially entered our half. So there's only one
This
winning
rook
move
has
here
or
for
his
black.
king has to
Actually,
back
the
up.
king has to go to
Then
e5,
I can
which they did. Now we're gonna get checked, right? And now we're gonna lose the house.
oh no.
Yeah. So
I got smoked.
this is over.
This is so sweaty. Why is it so sweaty?
It is sweaty. This player's expressing good technique here. All right, so
Okay.
both pawns are
This is
hanging.
not looking good.
This pawn is hanging.
He's gonna check.
Probably you could
Then
take this. Give up that.
I think I step in front.
Okay. Yeah, king e2.
I don't know the technique here.
We want to go to e2 for
This
sure.
here, he's gonna sack the
You
rook.
heard me? No, I
No,
told him about the
rook
pre-move,
stay
but
here.
I've muted since then.
No, this is not looking. It's not looking swift.
Okay, check on f3. And now he can take on e3. But the problem is
I
he's
don't
gonna
know. He's getting
lose.
into a very.
I don't think I think taking I
He's
think
in a
taking or not
very.
taking is both over.
Do I trade everything to take this pawn? Because I
This is
lose
kind of a
that
funny
pawn.
little
What do I
stalemating
do right here?
position, but
He's getting very like. Do I
maybe you
trade,
push
trade. He
a4.
takes.
A4 I think
Oh,
is
wait,
the
okay.
only move.
Boom. No, that's not good. I'm gonna
Yeah, it's
lose.
all. So he
Um,
shouldn't have traded minor
boom,
pieces.
check.
He shouldn't have traded
Boom.
queens.
No.
And here like he can't trade rooks either, right? And it's all because of one pawn.
Oh, now it's pawn pintas. Hold on. It's pawn pintas rook. Oh no, it's a check. But then I could take. And then I could take.
Yeah, but that was
Okay.
just the free A pawn. That's why we had to push it.
I only have one idea. Is here, mate. He could push the pawn, and I'm gonna go here. If he queens, I'm gonna make. I don't know how else to win this game.
Uh, it's
But then
it's hard
he
to
can't
check
back
him.
up. He's in a.
Yeah, there are two outside pass pawn. He's very low on time. Yeah,
No,
he needed to go. Oof.
no, he's checkmate. Oh my gosh. Wait,
He needed to put the king on.
that's game. Oh my gosh, I thought I had something. Mm,
Exactly, Andrew.
that's it. I think that's
No,
it, right? Yeah,
he's
that's
not
it.
streaming on Twitch, but he's on Instagram.
Oh, okay, Joe.
I really
Lay it on me, man.
you were sharing the thought process every step of the way, and I really appreciate that because it's really helpful. But also, you know, it takes some energy out of your thought process to have to talk and describe things. That's something that a lot of
This is way
streamers have
harder
to
than I thought.
face.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I usually just play obviously quiet.
exactly.
It's way harder than I thought.
Yeah. So don't beat
Yeah.
yourself up. This was a good game, and I'm gonna invite you to new classrooms so we can go over this.
Okay.
Also,
I was rated.
yeah.
It estimates 1,500.
Well, honestly, both you guys played this game pretty well. Um,
Yeah.
I think there was one major moment. I just sent the invite, by the way.
Yeah. I'm joining it right now.
Sick.
Cool.
Okay. Um,
It's cool. Hi, chat.
someone found your Twitch channel. It's
Okay.
true.
What's up?
Is it linked on your Instagram?
It is actually, yeah.
Okay. We got some smart viewers here.
Wedding?
They're gonna.
Wedding. I'm sorry.
Um,
Okay. All right. Let's dig in. Excited.
I guess I put the. All right, all right. So let's look at this. You've got your. I think this is a Jobava London. What? Can you show me the opening
It's a
trap or the trick?
Chigorin variation. The trick, okay. I mean, I don't. It's usually if they play,
The night out.
something along the lines of, oh, I go here. If they go night out, I go bishop out. If they go night out, there's a trap here, and they have to like I'll go here.
Oh
I'm setting
yeah,
up
yeah.
obviously that what is it? I don't know what they call this little trap, but so he has his only play is here,
Uh huh.
take with the bishop, and they could just trade everything down, but then you have a queen set. Oh, then he has to move his knight, obviously, and you know you can go right here, whatever. You have a queen sag. They take
Nice. Yeah.
have this fork right here, and so that's
Yeah.
pretty much the trap piece. But or it also sets up like if they don't do that, whatever. It's worst case, but or I guess best case for you. You can either take with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
queen or
Yeah.
move his, and then you just win the rook. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the trap generally,
That's
and people still fall for it. But it also gives me, I think it gives me a good position if people don't fall for it. So I'm like, why not go for it? And if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. Kind of mentality. But
well. I
back.
was I was I was curious if they did bring out the second knight and they
Hmm.
play e5, right, blocking the bishop.
Right.
Do you take? I guess if pawn takes, they'll go here, and that's
Yeah,
the
that's
problem.
usually what people go. I used to do. Then I remember reviewing it, and it's the best move is take with the bishop to set up that
Yeah,
fork, the
no,
family
because that's really
the
cool.
royal fork. Yeah,
I wonder if you could go for this still. I guess the problem is they'll just take the bishop. But if they take here, then you still have this fork,
yeah,
and
yeah,
when you take back, you're defending the bishop.
yeah. Actually,
But
yeah.
I guess they would win the pawn. But well,
So you're
let's
up two pieces, right? Two
yeah.
points.
Um, yeah, bishop takes. That's really fancy. If because you're still attacking this point, and if they take,
Yeah,
then you'll get that queen fork trick. So that's really cool. Um,
yeah.
okay. Well, yeah. In this game, do you know what this is called when they put the bishop like this?
Is that an Indian? I don't know. No.
Well, there's a
Or
lot
are
of
you saying when you fianchetto the bishop, right?
yeah, exactly. This is a fianchetto. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really a common idea. What I like to do, and especially when you're playing the London or you're getting out the knight and the bishop, I
Mm-hmm.
would play something like Queen D2 here.
And
And you're
castle
already
queenside.
ready, yeah, because the idea against the Fianchetto, as soon as this knight comes up, you're ready to put your bishop on h6, and you're trying to trade off
Oh,
bishops. This is a really
yeah.
common attacking idea against a Fianchetto
Mm-hmm.
because when you fianchetto, you put a lot of pawns on light squares, and then you'll put the bishop behind. This is a really nice structure, right? This is really
Yeah, it
solid,
is.
very safe. But if this bishop ever gets traded or leaves, you're going to be
Mhm.
left with a lot of weaknesses on the dark squares
Yeah,
because
yeah,
all the pawns are on light squares.
yeah.
So because the bishop's already here, knight's already here, I like to just go queen d2, castle, and then put the bishop.
You trade off the
Yeah.
bishop. Yeah.
So just something
Mhm.
important to note is if you go for this, you want to make
Mhm.
sure that a lot of times putting the king on b1 is really helpful. It's
Yeah.
beneficial because
Mm.
let's say for whatever reason your bishop leaves, or like worst case scenario, let's say they. I know this isn't a good move because we like going here, but let's just
Mhm.
point this out.
Yeah.
Um, we don't want to go here early because their knight's still controlling it, right? And then we could get our queen pinned to our king, which isn't good. Here, luckily, we can block, but That's
Hmm.
one downside of castling queenside is that your king is a little bit more in the center still than if you
Yeah.
castled kingside. Um, because there's three squares in between the king and the rook on the queen side because the queen was also in the middle. So when the king castles only two squares, the king is farther from the corner and he's closer to the center. So essentially, castling queenside is very aggressive, but it's also a little
Yeah.
riskier because your king is a little bit more exposed in the
Hmm.
center than it would be in the corner. So that's why a lot of times people take the additional move to just put the king over on b1.
Yeah.
But what I like about castling is how aggressive it is because the rook is more centralized, but also you now have this entire king side to start and launch an attack against where their king
Because you
goes.
know where he's gonna castle,
Yeah, well,
basically. Right
yeah.
now, pretty much know he's gonna try to castle king side, more likely than not.
So yeah, so he castles king side, and now here you still have a choice, right? So captures is fine. I like that. Um, and yeah, you have a choice of where to put the queen. You also have a
Yeah.
choice of castling, or you could delay castling, right?
Hmm.
Another idea against the fianchetto is you can push this pawn and try to open
Hmm.
up your rook, and this pawn essentially becomes a hook, right? So
Yeah.
even though their knight also controls a square, let's say they
Hmm.
tried their same plan. If we go h5 and they take, a lot of times actually we want to sacrifice our exchange because it really weakens the king and it also opens up for our bishop.
Yeah.
And if I like turn on the analysis for this, we could see okay, it doesn't like white's position. But rook takes is one of the top moves in this
Mm.
position. So
Yeah.
yeah. What it doesn't like is that the tactics really work out for black because our
Yeah.
king isn't castled, and so it might be a little too risky to all go all in on this king side attack.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if we play a move like queen d2, we're controlling the knight. We're getting ready to potentially castle.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's not so easy. Like your opponent played this pretty well actually. So playing c5 and then bring the knight out, bring the queen out. This is a really common way of just recapturing the pawn, and it just
Hmm.
really works out with all the dark square control with the queen and
Yeah.
with the bishop on the diagonal. So they're
Yeah.
attacking this pawn, right? And I know you
Hmm.
you you pointed out this idea to try to help protect it, but it's a little too
Hmm.
slow, right? Because you also
Yeah.
pointed out you can't push this b pawn now because your knight's hanging, right?
Yeah.
So you played queen
Hmm.
d2, which is really smart. I like that you castled. I thought that was really good too. So looking at this now, is there any move or idea that you could play that could save this pawn?
I guess. Hold on.
It's not
So
super
there is a way.
obvious. There is a way for at least this
Okay.
one move.
Is it? I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it sounds like super smart, but I could see. I mean, block with the knight, but I don't know how smart that would be or how well that would be because the
That
bishop's
is
defending
that is the answer. Exactly.
knight b5.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so this is just trying to delay him. So essentially he played c5, nothing protecting it, and you just took. So that is
Yeah.
what I would call a gambit, right?
Yeah.
Now he gets a positional advantage in that he's distracted your d pawn and it's now on c5 instead of
Yeah.
controlling like e5, for example.
Mm. Yeah.
But we are still technically up material. Now we don't want to go all out just to save a pawn because that could end up
Right.
hurting us more in the end.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
if we can delay him from capturing it, that could be kind of annoying, right? So we want to be as annoying as
Hmm.
possible. You have this move knight b5, it just interferes the queen. And we're also controlling this c7 square, right? Knight here could be really annoying, um, especially with the bishop. So this could
Hmm.
be, and this is the idea that you showed me at the start, right? This
I like.
your opening trap. So even though
Yeah,
there's not a pawn there anymore and we're out of the opening, both sides
and
have castled, this is still a very common and serious threat.
I like okay. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and, if they don't try to attack your knight, like you could play this, even if they do attack your knight, you could play bishop here, actually, right?
yeah,
And
oh yeah.
now they
The
have to
queen.
go, you're gonna keep attacking them, right? Or they're gonna have to give up the queen for two pieces. Okay. So let's look at
Yeah.
what happened. You play here, they take, you defend the knight, which is good. You've connected the rooks, which is good. Here you identified their threat. If we do nothing, let's say, they just want to take, and now our pawn structure is damaged and our king is weak, right?
Yeah.
So you identified their threat, right? They developed a piece attacking your piece, and you know that you don't have any other way
Mhm.
to recapture other than by damaging your structure, which is not ideal. So in my mind,
Yeah.
we either have to move this knight out of the way, or we have to protect the knight with the piece, right? Like the bishop. So these are like the only two
Yeah.
options. So let's
Mhm.
let's just keep the bishop. We would rather keep it in the center, right? Pointing at the king, rather than
Mhm.
being defensive. And we're
Yeah.
controlling the e square, which is important. So I think we want to move
Mhm.
this knight somewhere, and we have options, right?
Yeah.
So you went
Mhm.
to h4, and you immediately said, "I know I shouldn't put the knight on the edge, but I didn't want to put it in the
Yeah.
center, right?" So
Yeah.
let's look at our other options with the knight here. What do you think would be
Mhm.
a better option?
Um, I mean, it might not be a bad option to go back to E1 and push and then take the bishop, maybe. The reason I didn't like the center was because say I choose to go to E5, he can trade and then push his pawn to attack my knight and my he'll trade. I'll take with the bishop and then he'll push. Yeah, and then now I'm losing material. Am I?
Well, so there's two
'Cause if he
ways.
takes, wait,
Yeah, there's two ways to get out of
oh, I
this.
could take back with the bishop.
Or
Take back with the bishop, right?
yes,
Or I can attack his queen with the. No, I'll probably take. I mean, I think take back with the bishop because if I attack his queen with the knight,
you could take with the bishop,
it's
but
just gonna take with the bishop. He's gonna take the
there's
bishop.
another way you could take back.
Take the pawn, maybe.
Yeah, that's actually
Open
better
up the e file.
because the
Yeah,
pawn also defends. So that was actually pretty deep that you
yeah,
saw this discovery, right? This is a double attack. But we can take back. So that works out for
yeah.
us.
But I didn't look further than that. I should have kept looking.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
always
I should have
like
stopped at
one
that.
more
Yeah,
move kind of mentality when you're calculating tactics like that.
yeah,
I honestly I didn't even see that
yeah,
far. So that was a really good spot by you. But yeah, this is a much better move that we would prefer because it also hits the bishop. But mainly it's the
right.
the reason is, we want to control the center, right? Putting the knight in the center helps us control this e5 square. When we put the knight on the edge of the board,
Yeah,
we're actually very limited in where we can go, right?
yeah.
It's actually
Pawns are
kind of
defending
it's kind
everything.
of scary. So we don't actually have any more
Yeah,
forward moves anymore. We can't go here. So our only option is actually to go back where we were, which was the problem, right? So we're really
yeah,
playing with fire when we put our knight on the edge of the board. And this is really where the
yeah,
computer gives a significant advantage to your opponent after this move.
yeah.
So we should have
It
gone
was
toward the
even.
center. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So let's look at what he could have done. When our knight's no longer controlling the center, what it wants is now e5. So that
mm,
gives your opponent that pawn duo in the center that's really strong. Let's say we bring the bishop back. Let's say to here. Now they can play e4. Our bishop has to come
yeah. Just
back.
take everything.
And now what does it want? It says you could trade. I would probably take with
Yeah,
a knight, honestly.
yeah, yeah. Move to a better.
And yeah, I'm like really nervous about this knight. But
Yeah,
anytime the
because now
pawn
it can't go
pushes,
backwards again.
Yeah. So let's say, what does it want? It wants the knight to move. Yeah, it really starts to like black's position. So now takes. Yeah, they're just controlling the center, right, with their pawns. So
Hmm.
I think the biggest issue is we've conceded control over the center when this
Hmm.
happens. So now they have e5 and they get that pawn duo, right? So okay, they didn't do that. Takes here. I like that you took back. And now here we just have to realize that
Yeah.
our bishop's hanging. So
Yeah.
we saw that the
Right.
pawn was hanging. We forgot about the bishop. So
Yeah.
how do we save both of these? Is there a way to do that?
Two. Yeah, I'm thinking looking back on a take bishop takes c6.
Yeah, we have to trade the bishop for the knight. So they don't take the pawn because we
Yeah,
just took a piece. So they'll have to take the piece back. And now we can save our pawn, right?
go
So
back with that c3 push.
yeah. Now here they might be
Yeah.
able to play something like this, right? Because we don't have this anymore. So if I
Yeah.
look at like what the computer says, oh, it really doesn't like. Yeah, it likes queen h5 attacking the knight. So now if we go here, for example, it'll just
Mm-hmm.
take. But
Yeah.
the computer's saying we can play
Push the
f3.
g3. I'll
Okay,
trade and open the
g3
room.
also makes sense. But okay, let's look
Hmm.
at I think it's kind of funny. Even when you blunder a piece, it actually is okay because you get the piece back. The only downside though
Yeah.
is that they get a pawn out of it, right? So
Yeah.
we lost a piece, we get the piece back, but it costs us a pawn. So really, we're down a pawn. And
Yeah.
when we're down material, we don't want to trade things, right?
Hmm.
You heard that before?
Yeah.
So
And
like
I've heard like if you're up, you want to trade all the major pieces, and if you're down, you want to keep all your pieces, your major pieces.
yeah, essentially any material advantage, if you could trade everything else off evenly, you're just going to be left with that material advantage that you have, right?
Right.
So if you're up a pawn and you trade everything else, it's just going to be two kings and one pawn, and only the side with the pawn can win, right? If that pawn promotes, then they win.
Yeah.
So that ultimately is the difference maker in this game. Is like literally, if you look at the position, the only difference is
Mm-hmm.
one pawn, which is seemingly not that much, but it is enough,
Hmm.
right? If you trade everything else off,
Hmm.
there's no coming back. So you have to do you have to keep that in mind when you're making these decisions of trading, right? So here you go for rook trade, right? Probably not the best when you're down. So he's like, all right,
Hmm.
I'll gladly take that. And now you trade a knight, right? He's like, I'll gladly take that. And then you trade a bishop. And he's like,
Yeah.
sure.
He's like,
He's loving life, right? Now here's a tough
yeah.
decision. You can take either way, right? So how do you know which way to take?
I took with the pawn because it was, I don't really want my queen there. But I know it's late, it's in game, so it might not be as bad as I was kind of
Why
thinking it would
why
be to
don't
have
you
my
want the
queen there, but
queen
just
here?
didn't. Um, it's just it seems a little vulnerable. It can get pushed by e5. It can like there can be um, it just seems like it doesn't do much either. Um,
There's
I'm not really
so
setting up
there's
attack either, and
there's like a handful of things going on here. Um,
mhm,
a lot of times in chess, any question can be answered with "it depends." But also, a lot of
mhm,
times in chess, you could have a move that's really good, and then like the next move, it's like the worst move. So everything's
mhm.
conditional.
Yeah,
So
right.
like in the opening of the game, we don't want to bring the queen out too early, right? But at the end of the game, the queen is like a beast, and it's really good to have the queen in the center of the board. The king is a piece that you really want to tuck away early
Hmm.
on. You want to castle him, keep him in the corner. But in the end game, the king, you
Yeah.
really want to activate the king and put the king in the center, right? So everything kind of
Yeah.
fluctuates and changes depending on where you are, what stage in the game, or just the position in
Hmm.
general. So in this
Yeah.
particular
I think I also
instance,
pointed out that it was, yeah, I see it was the my B2 pawn is defended by my queen,
exactly.
and
So
that
taking with
would
the
be
queen
bad
is
loss.
incorrect here because it just loses material, right?
Hmm.
Another thing to think about is it allows for a queen trade. Even if
Mm.
it
Yeah,
damages
that
their
one.
structure, I think it might be worth it for them to simplify. But
Yeah.
yeah, really, you want to take with the pawn because you're still defending this guy and you're leaving the queens on the board at least. Going here to begin
Yeah.
with is a mistake. What's a better place to put your bishop? Trying to be annoying or aggressive.
It would be H6 to be
Yeah,
kind of like you said. Oh yeah, H6, because then that queen and rook combination is even scarier for him.
yeah. Imagine what if he goes here? What if he saved his rook like that? What would you do?
Um, this check, F7, queen F7,
Yeah,
then he has to move back to, was it H8? I
yeah,
could sack the queen to checkmate him, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Where would you go?
Queen F8, rook takes, rook, and then
Yeah, that's
rook
just
F8.
checkmate. That's a puzzle rush, back rank
Yeah,
mate. So yeah,
yeah.
that's a nice queen sack too. Bishop here is really strong because remember we were talking about that fianchettoed bishop earlier. We want to trade off the bishops
Yeah,
for
we
it.
can.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
he really has to be aware. He can't just move the rook and save it. He has to bring the bishop back and block us.
Yeah.
And at that point, we can bring the bishop back, or we can defend the bishop with the queen, or we could just
Mhm.
trade. But I guess I'm just trying to illustrate we don't want to trade the bishops immediately like this. We would rather try to keep some material. Like also, yeah, trading the knights I think isn't great.
Yeah.
Um, it's not easy though, right? Because if we decline the trade, maybe they go here, which is annoying. But
Hmm.
ultimately, if you're down material, you want to just try to keep material on because it's going to make it a little easier for you to use that material to fight back and try to balance the material again. So if we
Hmm.
simplify too much, if we trade off too many pieces when we're down material, we're fighting an uphill battle. We're making life more difficult on ourselves to
Yeah.
use our pieces for tactics and try to get some of that material back. So here's
Yeah.
what ended up happening is we traded everything, right? Including the queens. This
Yeah.
is really a big no-no. Because now we're entering a rook and pawn in game down a pawn. So we're down
Yeah.
to our last piece, and it's just very difficult at this point to hold a draw, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not even in the conversation of like even winning, right? We're just down. We're definitely on the defensive side here. Now, if we kept
Hmm.
all of this material on the board still, right? All of this stuff, then we have some chances. We can complicate things, right?
Hmm.
If we go here, like yeah, maybe they'll go here.
Yeah.
We have to save our queen, and they could still trade things. But this is much better now for us because we got that strong bishop. So maybe
Yeah.
they want to save
And
their
then
knight. But like now
yeah.
we can start trying to start an attack on them, right? We're using our
Hmm.
pieces in our favor. So here's a fun little trick. Let's say they do something random and we go for this. If they take, we can go here. Although I guess they have knight here, so it doesn't work. So I
Yeah.
guess if they did something dumb like this, we could play a tricky move, right?
Hmm.
Now they don't have to take the knight. The point is, if they do, it's
Yeah.
just going to be checkmate.
Yeah.
Um, but if they don't take the knight, maybe they take here. We don't want to. Well, I guess we could try to take with the queen. The idea is we're
Hmm.
threatening mate here. If they take the knight now, maybe we're gonna mate them anyways.
Yeah.
It's really some strong ideas. Okay. Anyways, I'm just trying to illustrate some fun stuff, it might not work. But the point is that we still have the pieces to even have these options
Right.
available to us to start an attack,
Yeah.
right? When
Mm.
we trade everything down, we don't have enough juice to attack anymore, right? We're down to our last two pieces. You know, we trade one piece. Now the rook really can't coordinate with anything to create tactics, right? It's just straight up a rook and a bunch of pawns. And we're down a pawn. And we have an isolated pawn. And this guy played it perfectly, bring the king in the center. And at this stage, it's just very difficult for you to like get anything going. So now he's got the passed pawn. He needs to start checking you because his king and his
Yeah.
rook are just going to dominate your king and they're going to enter the position. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, here you needed to get behind the pawn. This check was really
Yeah.
strong. So
Mm.
he needed to check you because yeah, you're attacking the pawn, but you can't take it if you're in check, right? So if he
Yeah.
checks you, if you go here, he's gonna keep checking you, and you know he doesn't
Yeah.
even need to defend the pawn because you're the one defending. He
Yeah.
defends the pawn, and now this is your last opportunity to stop his pawn from pushing.
Yeah.
So you got to get behind the pawn, and now he can't check you anymore. So your
Yeah.
king right now is putting up the defense against his king and against his rook. So as soon as he kicks your
Hmm.
king away, you know everything starts coming in, right? So check was good,
Yeah.
king here, and now he checks you. So probably you should keep checking,
Hmm.
and you get behind the
Yeah.
pawn again. But
Yeah.
yeah, at this stage, it's just it's really difficult to get back into it. So, and even
Hmm.
here, you can't even take because again, we're trading when we're down material.
Yeah.
He will
And
just
he's losing.
simply
I'm
trade
losing.
off, and then he's got a 2-on-1 over here, and his king's gonna gobble up everything
Yeah.
over here. So
Yeah.
I guess my biggest lesson out of this game, like I think your opening went really well. Obviously, like losing a piece in one move isn't great, but you didn't let that bother you. You got the piece back right away. It just cost you that pawn, and that pawn was the difference. So we don't want to trade when we're
Yeah.
down. That's the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
All right. You have any questions or any thoughts?
Um, no, I like what you said. The pawn is the difference. Like it's so interesting how like we can, think pawns are just like little throwaways. Like, oh, it's just a pawn, but like pawns are meaningful, and like and that's really kind of what just it just gets overwhelming towards the end of the game. You're just down material, and like that pawn could be such a big deal. And like even at one point, I was down one pawn, but it gave Black a 2 point advantage. Like also illustrating the point how powerful
Yeah.
that can be. But yeah, no, I mean, I feel I'm I thought it was a obviously like I'm a well, I mean, I thought it was a good game. Like it was, I think it was helpful too talking about it a little bit. And at the end, I just got a little desperate. Like the
Yeah.
only thing I had was a checkmate on, if I got my rook to h6 because his king got in a really weird spot.
Yeah,
So I was like,
exactly.
well, I mean, it was just a wish and a hope, but yeah,
Yeah,
there was,
that makes sense.
um,
And you're also as long time. But I would just say, like, last point is when we get checked here, we want to keep the king towards the center. So instead of going to h1, we would probably want to go to f1. Because that way we keep
okay,
an eye on the promotion square, right?
yeah,
So when we're here, we're not
yeah,
too far away. Because when we
yeah,
push, like if we had gone here, yeah, that's a check. But now we get to f2. And instead of our king being over here, our king is keeping a close eye on everything, right?
yeah,
It's already like it doesn't even matter if he loses this pawn, he still has these two pawns over here.
yeah.
But
So
we just want to keep our king closer to the action in the end game like this.
yeah,
Now it can be tricky too sometimes because if you keep your king too exposed, you can get
hmm
checked, and you're gonna maybe allow your opponent to have tactics. Um, but yeah, how do you feel? This is a bit longer of the first lesson than I was maybe
yeah,
thinking, but I had a lot of fun, and hopefully you learned something out of this, and hopefully you can uh, take this and
yeah.
see if you're interested in doing more later.
Yeah, no, I learned a lot. Definitely, was taking some notes. I think that was definitely helpful, and it was fun too. Like talking through it, even though it feels a little harder. Like played pretty well. Like talking through my process, like just I feel like it kind of helps you be a little more mindful instead of just like mindlessly playing things. So yeah, I thought it was pretty helpful. But
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you having me though and taking the time to coach me up a little bit. There's 400 people watching currently.
Well, we're
Wow.
we're part of the
I just
chess.com streamer program, so we might be on like a Chess TV
oh,
embed or something. We also got a handful of raids
yeah,
earlier, which is nice. And
sick.
yeah, we got some viewers realizing that you're an NFL player, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah. Well, that was fun though. I feel like that was a fun amount of pressure too. Like I'm in here like, oh, like I gotta like
you
I
got to
gotta cook
perform.
up. I
Yeah,
gotta,
you got an audience now, and
that
you
was fun.
hopefully you got a lot of fans. And yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, Xavier is on Instagram. You can go check him out. He's also on Twitch, but he's not streaming right now. We might get him into it a little later, but I also wanna
Looking good. I'm like, oh,
I wanna
yeah.
see if maybe you could do some lessons with Matt. I think that'd be really fun.
I reached, yeah, me and him have been texting a little bit, and I think that might be in the future. So
All right, well stay tuned.
hopefully back when I'm on my setup back home. Right now I'm just on my laptop, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna
that'll be that.
say if you get like a Ethernet, you're probably on Wi-Fi right now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Adrian's saying we want to see him play chess, so you could have an
I just saw
audience
that. So
for
it's,
sure. The chess community is super supportive.
yeah, you guys,
You'll definitely have a lot of
yeah, no, you guys
fans.
are awesome. Honestly,
Yeah,
yeah, you guys. I was expecting to come back and get railed by everybody. I'm sure that might happen every once in a while, but you guys are cool. I love you have a good group of people around you. So
yeah,
definitely grateful for everybody who tuned in and chatted and dropped some subs for my guy Joe. Shout out Butt City again. And I don't know what else happened while I was playing, but yeah, I appreciate you and I appreciate everybody coming checking it out and yeah, it was fun.
awesome. All right, well, thank you, Xavier. And yeah, stay in touch, dude. We'll see you around.
Yeah, are you still gonna be streaming? I might just stay tuned in.
Yeah, I'm gonna stream because we have this chess competition for the college. So besides working on the partnerships team at chess.com, kind of my main responsibility is I run the collegiate chess league and the college ambassador program. So I work a lot with universities
Yeah,
and different college chess clubs. So I'm
yeah.
I'm not going to be playing, but I'm going to be filling out a prediction bracket very similar to March
Okay.
Madness. We have something called Chess Madness. So,
Okay. I like that. The timing
um,
couldn't be better.
yeah, exactly.
That's good.
How we planned it. But the voting will start tomorrow. It's like a voting competition. Also, the Collegiate Chess League playoffs start this weekend. Um, but yeah, I'll still stream. I'm not gonna be playing chess though, but I'm gonna be filling out a bracket.
Okay.
So maybe I don't know. You said you went to school in Maine and Connecticut.
Yeah, if they have a team, I better see it in the bracket. No, no,
We
not
have
just March Madness. I need
I think we have a couple schools from Connecticut. I don't know if we have any school from Maine. Um,
okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be
but
surprised. It's probably two schools in Maine, but
like University of Maine and
yeah. And Hassan is one I know. There's a couple, but
yeah.
yeah,
um,
not much happening in Maine.
well, I know they got Portland in Maine.
Yeah, they do have
Uh,
Portland. Yeah,
okay.
it's not the
Uh,
Portland people usually refer to, but it's one of
exactly.
them.
I used to live in Oregon, so I'd have a lot of people ask if I'm
That's
from
the
Portland.
Portland. Yeah.
But anyways,
Well, I'll tune in. I'll check it out. I
yeah.
know
I'm just gonna put UCLA through to the finals. That's typically what I always do.
that's a given. Yeah, it's a given. Well,
All
awesome.
right.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for the
Yeah.
time and the lessons. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah. Thanks again, Xavier. I'll see you around.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Okay.
All right. That was Xavier Scott. Voodoo Donuts I did have while I was in Portland. I made sure to do that. I'm lucky, definitely. I agree with that 100% because I'm lucky to have people tuning in and supporting and uh yeah, it's always nice to have all the raids, the viewers, the gifted subs, people being nice, leaving nice comments, chatting. I appreciate the lurkers, the haters. No, there's not really any haters, just lovers, and that's even better. Definitely appreciate Scott Danshaw. Also shout out to Dan Scott Shaw, Bud City gifting to Adrian. Most wholesome chat for sure. Have you ever played chess with the McDonald's? No. You're a hater? Okay, well I appreciate you too. So, um, yeah, no. Shout out to Xavier. We got a Xavier command for his Instagram, so feel free to go check out his Instagram. He has his Twitch linked there as well. So if you give him a follow, you can stay tuned if he gets back into streaming. He used to stream other games. Maybe he'll get back into chess. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do some stream magic and we're going to end